The world needs to grow up and deal with the issue of climate change. That blunt message from British Prime Minister Boris Johnson as he addressed the UN General Assembly. On Wednesday, he urged fellow leaders to listen to the warnings of the scientists and commit to major changes to curb global warming. He also touted the upcoming climate summit set to take place in Glasgow in the UK this November, calling it a turning point for humanity.
My friends, the adolescence of humanity is coming to an end and must come to an end. We're approaching that critical turning point in less than 2 months, in just over 40 days, when we must show that we are capable of learning and maturing and finally taking responsibility for the destruction we are inflicting, not just upon our planet, but upon ourselves. It's time for humanity to grow up.
Well, Nina Dos Santos is in London, and the Prime Minister could have focused on a wide range of issues. Instead, he spent his entire speech to world leaders, and indeed the world watching on, locked in on climate change. Just explain what you believe is behind this aggressive approach.
Well, the backdrop to this is clearly the upcoming COP26 climate change summit that is going to be happening on his own shores in about 6 weeks' time in Glasgow. And the run-up to all of this has been plagued by question marks over whether or not the diplomatic efforts to try and clinch a deal on climate change has been enough and will see any of these initiatives rubber-stamped at the end, Becky. So essentially what we're seeing here is a Prime Minister using this speech and the opportunity to knock heads together with world leaders to tell them how he thinks they can combat climate change amid various reports that show consistently, UN reports, by the way, that when it comes to the targets that people have signed on to in 2015, the world is woefully behind. In typical Johnsonian style, he borrowed from the Greek poet Sophocles, but also from the Muppets. And here's how he used Kermit the Frog to sell new climate-friendly technology to the world leaders.
And when Kermit the Frog sang, "It's not easy being green." You remember that one? I want you to know that he was wrong. He was wrong. It is easy. It's not only easy, it's lucrative and it's right to be green. Although he was also unnecessarily rude to Miss Piggy, I thought.
As you'd imagine, Becky, they're a tougher crowd to please with some of his more humoristic overtones there at the UNGA. But what is he prescribing here as an alternative? Well, he says it comes down to coal, cars, cash, and also trees. So what he wants to do is propose that all of the world collectively pledges to achieve carbon neutrality, that's net zero by the middle of the next century. He also wants big countries to phase out coal as soon as possible, in particular praising efforts by China at this UNGA to stop building coal-powered plants outside of their country, and also the United States with the recent doubling of the money they've put towards the climate change funds too, Becky.
Nina Dos Santos on the story for us. Thank you, Nina.